Good afternoon. Good to see everybody. Obviously made it back late last night. Just want to once again compliment our staff and the folks that put together that trip, both with the league, but most importantly, people in-house here that allowed us to have a smooth trip and able to win a game yesterday and go into the bye week off of a victory. A lot of things to really touch on from the game. But I have to start out and just compliment our offensive line, the group we had out there to start the game, and then obviously, had some guys, some moving parts there throughout. But I thought Blake Brendel, for his first time playing center, the tape really, personified everything we think of Blake and have from a versatility standpoint. But for him to step in and run the show the way he did, communicate, and played with physicality and technique. Was a real positive for Blake. I thought Joe Huber, really getting his first significant snaps against a really, really good opponent and some good interior players to go along with the edge guys that they had. He played well, and Justin School's versatility to start out the game on the right side and then finish on the left gave us some critical snaps. We tried to have a very calculated and detailed plan of a variety of different ways of how we were going to, kind of handle one of the best defenses in football and try to, limit some of the damage that they routinely cause against most teams that they played. But it required our players taking that plan and making it come to life. And I thought Justin had some critical snaps where either, certain players were moving around and trying to avoid some of the things we were, deploying, and had some one-on-one reps that allowed us to make some big-time plays in the game. And then Walter Rouse stepping in as well was good to see him ready to kind of meet that moment. Ryan Wright tied his career along with the 77-yarder in a huge moment to kind of flip the field was critical. Justin Jefferson was outstanding as we talked about last night. I thought Carson being very gritty, kind of battling through his left shoulder and kind of having a really productive night, and that last drive was efficient. It was calculated and really just total trust and commitment from the group to do what was required there to win the football game. So a lot of other performances wrapped up when you find a way to win a game like that under the circumstances we were in. So thought our coaching staff handled the week very well from a standpoint of preparing, and it wasn't exactly the normal week we prepared that we hoped it would be, but our entire group handled it in a really mature way, professional way, and we were able to get the win. Just to give you guys an update on Carson, we did get back pretty late, early, really actually early this morning. So he's still getting further evaluation, but he's pretty sore in that left shoulder. So that will be something that we'll be taking a look at throughout this week. On a kind of a different note, we do expect, hopefully 4 players to return to practice in different capacities next week. But J.J. McCarthy, Donovan Jackson, Blake Cashman will have his 21-day window opened, and then Michael Jurgens should be able to, come back to the practice field as well. So getting some positives here at the bye. It comes at a big-time moment for us where we've obviously had some adversity from an injury standpoint, and we'll continue to work through that. But I like the way guys have stepped up and the way our team has battled throughout this first 5 weeks. And we go into the bye at a critical time where there's still a lot of things we can improve on. But most importantly, getting healthy will be a critical thing.
Kevin, you've had 17 game-winning drives since taking over. Is there something in terms of your philosophy when you have those opportunities of play calling or how you manage the quarterback in those situations that you feel like has really worked for you?
Yeah, Matt, I think it's a circumstance of a few things, right? Like a lot of times in the game, things are expressing themselves throughout, and you're kind of answering some of the maybe not necessarily unknown questions, but either unscouted looks or unique ways Justin's being defended or pressure plan, whatever it might be, and then being able to kind of take all of that information and put it together in a way where all I want the quarterback to do in that moment, and really all 11 guys, is just to be able to communicate at a high level. If we're in the no huddle, how fast and efficient can we operate? How on top of rules of, catching the ball inside the numbers and getting vertical, catching the ball outside the numbers and trying to get out of bounds. Little things, how we spot the ball, how we try to use our no huddle offense, that we have different phases of it and kind of layers to it to be able to apply in those moments. I think it gives us a pretty extensive menu to choose from. And then we're able to kind of, the final piece of that is the trust, specifically of the quarterback, to just kind of trust in each play as its own, not trying to think that there's a need to overcome the play call and find the deep element in the play. If we're just trying to get the ball out, we're trying to have a unique aspect, specifically yesterday, of a protection plan, and then just methodically use the time. I think we got the ball with 3 minutes left, and Kevin used his 3 timeouts, and there was whatever was left on the clock there at the end. So it was efficient. It was, a lot of, in some cases, sometimes, shorter completions just to ensure ourselves a new set of downs and then be able to reset. I thought a couple guys made some pretty critical plays, run after catch or getting out of bounds, that just kind of allowed us to, move in chunks of yardage, or in some cases small chunks of yardage, but then reset and try to, play that next sequence of downs that way. And I think that's kind of how I've always looked at that phase, and we put a lot of time into it. And we know games are going to be close. A lot of ours have been close, so we've had plenty of opportunities to kind of make that number go, and it's been something that's helped us win a lot of football games.
Do you plan to ramp up J.J. physically next week to try to get him ready to start?
Yeah, and it will be this week as well. He'll be here. We'll be able to, get him some extensive work, kind of as a lead-in to next week. And then, I anticipate his workload building up. We're going to really take advantage of that bonus Monday, not only with him but with our whole team. We're going to spend some time as a coaching staff making sure we're self-scouting and taking a look at exactly, what we've been. How much of what we are is tied to the adversity we've kind of dealt with injuries, and then what do we want our identity to be as a team here as we attack the post-bye part of the season. And we've a lot of work to be done for sure. But yeah, I'm excited to get back here. J.J. got some work today, and he'll get some work throughout the rest of the week. We got some other guys he'll be getting some work with on the field, and then we'll pick it up officially next week. But I'm encouraged about where he's at right now.
Going back to those late game situations.
Yep.
In those moments, how important is it for you to sound regular or composed or normal when you're in place, so the quarterback doesn't hear any signs of stress or excitement about it?
Yeah, I think it's a weird type of communication, right? They can hear my voice, but hopefully they're not looking over at me to see the way I'm delivering it. So it is something I think about from a standpoint of how I'm delivering information. And what gets hard is when the play clock starts to creep towards that 15 number, and you're trying to give the information that's in my head to the quarterback so they could best execute the play. And it might not even be for that play. It might be, making sure that they know to if we are huddling, give the huddle a reminder of what could be coming. So if I'm a receiver that ran a 20-yard route to the left out near the sideline and I've got to get to a certain spot rather quickly, I would rather them have at least a preview of that ahead of time. So it's all those little things, and it's hard to put your finger on one thing, but that's a great aspect of it that I don't think gets talked about enough. But I try to be as poised as possible in the moment. I don't always do it. I'm sure the many quarterbacks we've had play in those situations would say that they can tell I'm trying to do it, but it's not always consistent. So that's always something you're trying to get better at as a play caller, making sure that I think you get the most value received when you can operate like that.
Kevin, watching the game back, what did you see on Will's field goal attempt? Because there was some video angles where it looked like it might have hit something.
Yeah, I didn't notice anything during the game. That's a pretty tough angle normally for us anyway. Most of the time I'm just trying to gauge the crowd reaction of, depending on if the video board in the stadium is in real time. Sometimes it's on a slight delay, so you can't watch that, but you're really trying to just gauge the crowd reaction. And we did have a lot of purple at Tottenham Stadium, so it was one I did not notice it. I did not see it in the moment. I would defer to the league on if that's something that there should be some protocols in place that I should know about. But other than maybe somebody in the booth alerting me that they saw it, or Will himself is going to be a critical guy in that moment. But a lot of times a kicker's a lot like a golf swing. They're keeping their head down, and they might not even see it initially. He told me he thought he hit it well, and Will doesn't end up that far offline, historically, since our time having him here. But yeah, not really sure what to say on that one, other than that was unfortunate if it did happen, and if it didn't, so be it.
Kevin, what's your quarterback assessment, Cam Akers?
Yeah.
On that play?
Yeah, I think Cam has always been a guy that I've known could throw the football. But what makes Cam so unique, that was really his one play on offense. And he comes in the game and executes the play perfectly, exactly from the details of, where we wanted, how we wanted him to sell it, the track he took when he initially caught the ball, and then his ability to kind of understand that there would probably be a little push and it would have to be a little bit of a kind of a fadeaway jumper. And he spun that thing and right in stride to J.O. and felt like it was the right time to try to see if we could pop that one for a touchdown. The guys made it come to life. But yeah, Cam's fantastic from a standpoint of exactly what you're going to get from him, and you can put a play like that in front of him, and he just has a big smile on his face and attacks it throughout the week, and then he made it come to life exactly. I will say that was his best throw of his ops we got to see on, but he did complete them all leading into it. So he saved his best one for the game.
Kevin, have you been wanting to do that since overlapping with the Rams with him? Or is it...
Yeah, and we had him throw a couple times in L.A. I do remember that, and I just remember when I was doing the evaluation process, Thomas Brown at the time was like, you got to see his YouTube clips, because he's got all of his touchdown throws from Florida State, or his completions from Florida State were on YouTube. And then we got to know him a little bit through the process, and I found out quickly from Cam that he threw for 3,000 yards as a high school quarterback. So just ask Cam, he'll tell you. But no, look, you're trying to find ways to score. We felt like there was an opportunity that presented itself from some previous clips, and it played out.
At center, you plan to just try to plug Michael back in next week, or does Blake still kind of stay in the mix there?
Yeah, I think what we learned is we have another high quality center option with Blake, and getting Jurgens back practicing again will give us a chance to assess what the best five looks like, and that's what we'll go with, and we'll work through that accordingly. But Blake had a really, really strong day.
Coach, what is it maybe about, I guess, Blake's demeanor or just his approach to the game that you did feel confident, and especially the communication piece?
Yeah, I think his one comment coming out of the game was just how much fun he had. He had a blast going out there and doing it. I think he's got great, football intelligence. I think it applies to playing the center position, because there's a lot of moving parts that go, and you need your center to be able to kind of direct in many ways. He's the quarterback. The way we handle our offense, he's the quarterback of the run game, to be able to identify some things and at least starting points, and then the quarterback can solve some problems maybe from an external landscape. But for a guy that has played tackle, he's played guard, he's literally played almost every spot besides that during our time with him here. For him to step in and perform like that, it was a big moment, and we needed it for our team. I don't think our group as a whole, I don't think the O-line group could have played as well as they did without Blake having the performance he did.
Last two?
Just in terms of J.J. getting back to practice, what are you looking for from him over these next week and a half, 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity to get back to he's had some real moments of growth through this time. I think watching the way Carson's kind of gone through progressions quickly, just the value of putting the ball in play. even when it's not your first progression, even when it's not, the most exciting completion of all time, and you're getting to TJ off of a little nudge and a protection to help here or there, and TJ's kind of the check down element. TJ's catching some of those balls. He had one on that, the touchdown drive at the end where he caught just a simple ball over the middle and went for 14 with some really good run after catch. So I think he's kind of taken a lot of that, of just watching it closely and my dialogue with him. But I think it's going to be the most critical part is going to be technique and fundamentals of playing the position the way he worked so hard to build up throughout the spring and the summer, getting him back into kind of the mandatory nature of certain things from a fundamental standpoint that will only help him perform at a high level. So I think it's going to be more about the physical side of his lower body mechanics and then just trying to put together a game plan for him throughout the practices of like how much can he do, what's the soreness level coming out of practices to be able to try to have the most consistent level of a ramp up we can with him.
Kevin, there have been times when Justin lines up in the backfield, like his first catch yesterday.
Yep.
What kind of advantage does that give an offense, but also like what kind of informs you that maybe that's like the right opportunity for that kind of moment?
Yeah, I think, I kind of pulled that play from a different area of the call sheet. I probably caught the coaches off guard a little bit in the moment with that, but it was, I think we got 9 yards, it ended up being a 2nd and 1, and just with the unique nature of being the play caller, with a game like that where every play against that defense is a risk-reward proposition. So 2nd and 1, great chance sometimes to maybe push the ball downfield, great chance to get another run off and get the first down, or it can be a time where you can, pull the card of a unique look. We went on balance. There were some unique things that married up with something we had done previously that, teams are going to have carded up and have on tape, and then it's a nice counter to that. So there's a lot of elements to go into it. But, yeah, he's a hard guy some games to find those easy touches for him. So, normally when we can get him going, and we've been able to the last couple weeks, it coincides with our offense able to find some rhythm if we can avoid the negatives and avoid, obviously put the ball on the ground twice yesterday, which we've got to find a way to stop, especially when we're moving the ball consistently against a really good defense like we played against yesterday. But I think Justin getting his touches and having the ability, he's obviously we know what he is as a route runner and an ability to make catches. But to me, it's his run after catch is dynamic as well. So how many times can we get a really good guy, a really good player with the ball in space to be able to get some yards after the catch?
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.